final episode of the Leading Sheep webinar series on electric fencing, Ilfracombe and Traprock sheep producer Alan Forrest discusses the cost and effectiveness of different fence materials.
One thing I look at, what I spent on those two wires compared to what was spent on that, a very, very strong conventional fence, basically over a few kilometres. What I saved paid for, the biggest energiser that was on the market at the day, and allowed me to continue around and do this whole block. So, as you can see, for my mind, I can see the value in a good energiser in what it saves you, when you're having to look at how to fix up an old fence. Next slide here is our goat yard out at Gordonvale. And so to strengthen it up, one side of the fence can have 200, 300, 400 billies. The other side, the nannies out of that mob. Did similar to what I did here, where he put the hinge joint on the back of the post, insulator and hot wires on the front, but then he added a maxi post to the back of that as well, hot wires on that side. So that basically strengthened the posts and gave hot wires both sides, and that works very effectively. And I'd use that same sort of system for backyards of sheep yards, sort of thing, because it's just a hell of a lot cheaper than trying to build a solid fence. Gateways, I have had some dramas with underground cable under gateways. Gallagher has replaced some of that product, but I think, part of it too, I'd be installing it a little bit differently, possibly using some electrical conduit to protect that cable a bit more from the weather. But, that's basically, and I'll reiterate what Rob said, you've got the trench dug, make sure you carry an earth wire under the gate when you're carrying your power wire, because it's a big job, and a job you probably never get to if you've got to go back and redo it. Exclusion fencing, which seems to be very popular at the moment, would create a great physical barrier if I had the money and the probably the topography. That fence with hot wires on it, I think, would be an ultimate to achieve. But we've got a photo on the southern end of our place where there was a hinge joint fence across a floodplain. We've had two events like this in the last 2 years where that fence has just been absolutely flattened by water and debris. And so I wonder, what the outcomes of trying to put an exclusion fence across there. We had added one hot wire to that fence, and that fence is in the process now of being replaced with the same 7-wire fence that you saw with the coral cactus. We used lightning poly droppers in that fence for the coral cactus. They do seem to have a few issues that we are going to address, in that probably 20 or 30 of them have broken. Another point on that fence, when you first start out, you'll do something. If it doesn't quite work properly, you may need to revisit it, see what you need to do, talk to people. We're having a few places, probably old roo pads from the old fence, where roos are digging under that bottom wire, compared to the fence that Mick electrified up on the northern end, where the wire was already, the bottom earth wire was probably a bit closer to the ground. We're going to look at sort of doing a job of blocking off those roo pads with a little bit of foot netting to see what effect that has, whether the roos will just move to the next panel, or whether they'll keep trying on that panel. That's the idea of blocking off the whole bottom of the panel, and if that's not as effective as we need it, well, it could be a matter of going and knocking those posts down another inch or two to get that that wire onto, closer to the ground.